Hey everybody, welcome to today's Best Stock Picks. My name is Pete Renzulli. Today is Wednesday, May 6, 2020. And I guess the theme for the day is very simple. It's a long until it's not a long. If you read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, you know that he was very big on following the line of least resistance. Today we call it trend following. But one very important thing that he discussed in the book was that surprises generally come in the direction of the line of least resistance. And essentially what he's saying is expect explosions in the direction if the line of least resistance or the trend or what I call order flow is obvious. And what we're experiencing right now is we have this 5-week bounce off the March lows, and now we're kind of going sideways. And here's where a lot of traders get into trouble, and myself included way back in the day when I first started. So you're not alone in your pain if you're experiencing this right now. It really comes down to if it's not as obvious that it's going higher right now, we tend to have this feeling that we want to start to put out a short sale, and that's absolutely the wrong trade unless you build an argument in a specific trade on the short side, meaning a stock right now in earnings season is reporting poor guidance going forward, where you have a bias that stock is now a sell short going forward, despite the overall market still slowly grinding higher. Although now we've been basically in a trading range in the SPY, which we'll take a look at in a second, for about 4 weeks now. So it's a little bit challenging. And what I call PCOT, which is a potential change of trend, which is, I joke around in the coaching program, that's where money goes to die if you don't spot it. So the proper way to be looking at the market right now, the proper way to be reading tape, is to get an answer to the question, is it obvious? And right now, for the most part, especially in technology stocks, for the most part, it is obvious to the long side. There are buying opportunities, but you got to stay away from those ranges where you want to set buy stops or alerts outside of the range before you get involved at all, because it's very common now, especially if volume gets a little bit lighter, where you kind of take out those highs and pull back in, you take out the highs and pull back in. So we need a little bit more proof from the market where we actually get outside of a trading range and stay there. It could be as simple as closing outside of that range. It could be pausing outside of that range. But right now, just a straight up buy stop. If a stock or the market is having a problem getting through a level, you want a little bit more proof. And we'll see this in a second when we take a look at the SPY and a few other stocks that we just got to those levels, pulled back. But if you were patient enough to wait for it to get past the level, so in other words, if it's having a hard time getting through $50, you don't put the buy stop at 50.25. You want to get it above that level, maybe even put it 51, so it clears that level, and you're kind of out of the woods. So we're going to get into looking at some today's stocks. The earnings that we're looking at today, online retailers just super strong. Trying to pick a top in them has been foolish. Even Shopify, which actually has earnings today, scheduled for today. I want to be very clear. Had that 1 day reversal where, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we spotted exhaustion. And exhaustion in our terminology is a large, violent, large energy candlestick, which is a green candlestick in this case, with massive increase in volume. We got the next day, we actually opened higher in that $108 reversal, but the stock is just strong as a bull. No pun intended. So those stocks are strong. So we got Shopify scheduled for today, Etsy, CVS, the drugstore, PayPal, MetLife, Square, all set to go today. So be aware of those stocks. So some other stocks that have reported earnings that are tradable, which we just mentioned, and that's kind of what spurred the conversation about short selling a particular stock if it's got a thesis or an argument. And Starbucks actually has that argument for me right now versus, or in addition to the same argument that I had in JP Morgan when it came out with its earnings and its guidance a few weeks ago. So we're going to go to the charts, take a look at some ideas. We're going to actually mention a trade from yesterday that did not work out, which was LVS. But here's the not LVS, WIN. I want to get very clear on this because there's a difference between a bad trade and a trade that doesn't make money. So if we look at the scenario that we talked about yesterday, WIN actually pulled back to the support level. We were looking to bid this price here, and it really was kind of like a dud. It didn't really do anything. It didn't hold the support. But yesterday, we actually were looking to bid for a higher opening, 2 days ago, excuse me, and it actually did bounce back and then opened higher. Now, the market actually and the stock, a lot of stocks opened higher yesterday, and depending on where they were and how obvious the order flow was, we were looking for it to push up and pause before the next move. So we got a lot of that yesterday. Specifically, I think Facebook was one of the better trades that we had yesterday. But Wynn did not. So I want to use this as a tape reading lesson where we were looking for Wynn to pull back to the breakout range and hold, which it actually did right on the dollar pretty much, but could not hold the buying. So I want to make a distinction between a good trade versus a trade that doesn't make money versus a bad trade. This is a good trade that didn't make money because we built an argument that it got through the resistance level, pulled back. Now, obviously on the daily charts, I would have preferred over here that this was the bottom, this red candle, and then we just took off again. So it was a less than perfect scenario that we went back down. But here's the point that I want to make. If you build an argument and you believe that the risk is justified because the reward potential is there, for whatever reason, obviously mine is order flow. We walked through the trade idea. I fully expected the support to hold. If you build your argument and you believe it justifies it, put the trade on. It doesn't make it a bad idea if it doesn't make money. It's a bad idea if you don't have an argument for putting on risk in the first place. So I wanted to walk through a trade that did not work out because I like the idea. I had a good argument for the idea, but that's real trading. And that's the problem that a lot of traders have, is they think that trading is supposed to be A plus B plus C. And for a good portion of our decision making, it is. But you have to still say to yourself, if it doesn't work out, did I do what I was supposed to? Because never forget, A plus B plus C equals probabilities. It doesn't mean A plus B plus C equals money immediately. It's probabilities literally mean over time. So I wanted to point out a trade that didn't work yesterday. I want to talk about some ideas today. Obviously, we just mentioned Shop is scheduled for earnings today. Still strong as a bull. This was the day that I was just mentioning on the reversal, but it quickly caught itself again. Etsy as well. So we're going to be looking to trade these stocks actively after earnings comes out. One that was called out in the coaching room yesterday, CVNA, good day yesterday, a couple of days in a row. We actually had perfect test of the previous day's low 2 days ago, get a nice rally. Looking for one more day to the upside before it starts to peter out around the $92 level. But I want to see it open up higher. Gold stocks, WPM, still in play. No reason to leave them. All right, look at that. Just continue to march higher, continue to close above the open, continue to show higher highs, higher lows. Some other stocks that have had earnings, ATVI, still like that one as well. EA also fits in that category. No reason to not look at them. EA is going to open lower this morning. ATVI is not, so trade those accordingly. ATVI versus EA, look at the guidance numbers and see if you can form a bias there. A new one that I haven't watched in a while that is looking to initiate a new swing trade. And this is a really good example of what I was just talking about with reading the tape and having a price get through there. It's having a really hard time with 86. And you can see here perfectly that you would not get involved as soon as it gets through 86 as a buy stop, because it got there once, twice, 3 times, 4 times and failed. So I'd be more inclined to be looking for a buy stop at 87, looking for a 93 target. As a swing trade, looking to hold that for 3 or 4 days, but not until it gets up to that level. So that's the next swing trade there. Facebook has actually been one that we've been keeping an eye on. We love the fact that it held the earnings gap. It's still up there, having a hard time closing above the open yesterday, but I still like it long. And as we said, our target is 220 on that one. PayPal also, we just mentioned, has earnings scheduled today. Has been a beast, traded through resistance as well. I see no reason not to be long until they give us a reason. So we want to be long those stocks. We want to be a buyer. One that's coming up to very similar resistance levels that we want to keep an eye on, Peloton, having a hard time getting through this 36 and staying there. So again, got through 37 here. I think I'm going to wait for this to push up and pause before. So we talked a little bit about conviction there and how long we want to see that proof in the market. I want to see a pause above 37, but I do like it above those levels. One that we have not called out, I don't think in a really long time, PAGS actually, and I'll show you why. Increased volume. We had a nice energy candlestick. We got 5 days in a row closing above the open with plenty of room to go. It's a little extended right now for what the stock normally does, of $7 over the last 6 days. So I love this spike. We're probably going to get one more day. I want to see it pause before the next run, so keep that in your tracking journal. And actually on the short side, the only one that I have on the short side today is Wells Fargo. But again, you can see that it's having a hard time getting below 26, so I like it below the 26 level. So a lot of opportunity today, both on earnings today that we're looking to trade those active stocks, and some stocks that recently reported earnings that have now given us a bias heading into the next quarter to trade that order flow into the next level. So keep an eye on those stocks, especially ABBV, say that fast, looking for those levels. And I think that was a really good example of a stock having a hard time and reading the tape to say, okay, that's where it can't get through. Why would I participate until it finally does? And I don't want to get caught in peeking through and coming back and you get your head handed to you, right? So that's today's best stock picks. Have an awesome day, and I will speak to you soon.